It is great to be here at the Prime Health Summit. I am very honored to be with Joni Kripal, an amazing angel investor, a legend in Colorado, right? So I thought we'd start with you.
Okay.
What are you most passionate about? What do you care about?
Well, the simplest answer to that is I'm a big fan of the quadruple aim. The triple aim is, to me, obvious that we want to have better outcomes and lower costs and patient satisfaction, but I get really passionate when people are adding the provider impact behind that and making sure that it is beneficial to them as well, or appreciative of their workflow. So a lot of the companies I invest in or that I consult with are because they really have that piece as well, the quadruple aim. And then the second part of that is my background, 30 years in healthcare, variety of roles, but most of it in sales. And I want to make people understand that sales is a noble profession, that it's such an important part of the startup community, and sales folks often aren't consulted early enough in the process.
And that's what drives the success of a startup, right?
Yeah.
One of our investors, Mark Cuban, talks about how the best investor is a customer and sales solves everything. And I think it really does start with that.
Yeah.
So what's going on here in Colorado? I mean, you've seen it from such an interesting perspective being here, and there's been a great transformation over the last 20 years, and it just seems like an extraordinary moment for the ecosystem, especially health innovation. Right. What's happening here?
Well, one of the things that I really appreciate that's different is I joined Rocky's Venture Club 5 years ago, Angel Investor Club here, and watching the deal flow, and we had almost no healthcare deal flow initially. And now I'm really seeing a lot of innovation in the healthcare space and being presented to Rocky's Venture. And that's one of the reasons I'm so thrilled Startup Health is here, is because we need to bring more of that expertise into the investing side of the community here, because we draw from so many other areas of expertise, the technology transfer out of the universities and things like that, but to have that savvy that they can really tap and incubate and make sure that they're investable.
So you also spend a lot of time advising startups and helping them grow. What are some of the lessons learned, some of the wisdom that you would pass on to entrepreneurs, health transformers, we call them, just getting going?
Right. So I stole this quote from somebody else, Jeff Margolis, if you happen to know that name from Well Talk, and was listening to a podcast he was on. And the message was, to be truly innovative, you must first be steeped in legacy. And that's really powerful, because there are so many folks that have great ideas of solutions to bring to the marketplace, but they can't put it in context. They don't know what it means to the workflow, or they don't know what it means into the hierarchy of the stakeholders that have to contribute to the decision. And so we need to try and fill that out here. And so I would encourage folks who are really innovating to think about who they can connect with to really understand the historical perspective of what their solution is going to be involved with.
And what's it like being an investor in this environment here?
Oh, what's it like being an investor? Things move too slowly. I think that especially in healthcare, they're eager for this money and they don't understand the whole process, and they get very frustrated, and it's it really depends where they are in their process. But if it happens to be an FDA-regulated solution, or what's the risk profile of what they're doing, keep that in context of how long it's going to take to raise the money, because it just doesn't happen overnight. That's a misnomer, especially on the angel side. So there's very sophisticated, I would say, now at Rocky's Venture Club. There's a process that we follow, and we've really done a good job of shortening that time frame and making the right resources available to folks, but it's still a process, and it takes a while.
And what do you think needs to happen to activate more people like you, get more angels into the ecosystem so that they're supporting the best young companies?
Yeah, it is things like Prime Health and 10-10-10 and making that open to the community. So inviting people in to say, yeah, I think, first of all, a lot of people don't understand the criteria for angel investing, and they think the bar's a lot higher than it probably really is. And just understanding what role they can have, whether it's actually writing the check versus just being a mentor coach to people who are trying to get their solution off the ground.
So what do you look for when you're making your decision? Is it the founder? Is it the idea? Is it making sure it's aligned with your vision and mission?
Yeah, there's a lot of alignment for me. I definitely take a look at whether I can contribute to that solution. So if it's in a space that it's healthcare, but it's nothing I know anything about, I'm not inclined to really follow that deal. I get involved with deals where I feel like I can contribute and help them through the process in some way, shape, or form. So I look at whether or not I can align with the solution, but then behind that, it's the team and whether or not how much they've already de-risked the opportunity, whether they know what it takes to go through FDA, if that's a requirement, how much of that they've really explored, because there's a lot of naivete around that.
So Startup Health's new here. What can we do to support the ecosystem best? How can we be most helpful in your view?
I think your communication is something the rest of the community can strive toward. And I know John's one of my favorite people, but he will be bringing some of that forward in the newsletters and just communicating what's happening in the transformer world. I think will motivate a lot of people here. As I said, I've been a follower for a while, and it gets me excited to see that communication and know what's going on around the world, not just here in our own little ecosystem. But that's very beneficial.
Wonderful, wonderful. So last question. Health seems to be a big part of the culture here.
Yeah.
What do you do to stay healthy?
I'm a recovering triathlete. Have done a couple of Ironman, but that is in my past, I think. So I had marathon, still run, like the endurance sports more than anything. I'm usually on the elliptical when I'm listening to your podcast.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know. Well, thank you, Joni, for everything that you're doing to be really driving the ecosystem forward and supporting entrepreneurs.
Well, great. Thank you.